really feeling into like, okay, Pisces, like we know all the things it rules. Like you can talk about, you know, blah, 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 illusion, delusion, da, da, da. But I was like, okay, the idea of Pisces is like, you're so up in like dimensions that there's no duality, right? It's like, there's no like you versus me and this opinion. It's all one truth, like universal truth, right? And I was like, oh, that's going to be rough, right? Because the whole month is so Piscean. Then we have, you know, and then it's like everybody's illusionary perspectives are just like collapsing and imploding for us to get to like what I think is mom trying to bring in true reality. Like how it used to be on Mission, where it was like everything we thought was like the opposite of what was the truth.
I know.
Right? Like of what the higher perspective
completely
was.
Opposite and wrong. And it's just kind of funny. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, and then I looked at March and I said, oh my.
It gets worse.
These jump scares.
March is definitely a jump scare. There's so much, and then the eclipses.
Because it starts in March, because now the nodes have, you know, shifted.
Yeah.
So the eclipse season starts in March.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's going to be like super intense. And it's just like, especially with, I feel like a lot of people with the last two zodiac signs, like Aquarius and Pisces, can be such a like spicy mix put together, and then having those back to back is like there's no other like 2 seasons in a row that feel as disorienting as going from Aquarius into Pisces.
Yes.
And it was interesting because Dylan said a few days ago where he was like, I just don't feel like Aquarius is an air sign, and that's kind of like a changing hot topic, like things could have been changed, because I was like, well, yeah, I mean, we know like Aquarius is the water bearer, which is why it gets confusing, because people think that it's a water sign.
Yes.
And I kind of felt into it, because then I was like, you know, like Pisces, like it can be very watery and emotional, sure, but I kind of wonder, in like this kind of convolution, delusion, like the etheric, the air, or the water, all this happening at once. My theory is that Pisces and Aquarius should be switched. That Aquarius should be a water sign and Pisces should be an air sign.
You know what else I was thinking as you were saying that? Was like, you know how we kind of stick to the basic 4 elements, but there's like other elements. And like in Chinese astrology, they have like, you know, that's why it's like, oh, it's not just the year of the snake, it's a wood snake. And then there's like metal and
different elements.
Whatever. And I think Aquarius would kind of be like ice. Like water and air.
Like
that
together.
Like form ice. And Pisces, I don't know why I just thought of lava. Like watery, but also there's a fire with Pisces that's really...
And I was kind of thinking like ethereal too, like because
like then the ether element.
Yeah, like something like that. Because then I also, obviously the sign is the 2 fishes, but I feel like it's not swimming in water, like it's swimming in the ether.
In the ether,
And I do resonate with like the lava too, because like obviously when, you know, I feel like there's so many things, like lava specifically, like we don't know what fully makes up lava. Like there's definitely some water element in there, an ethereal element of release. So I definitely, there's just so many things where I feel like we will be shifting, and it's that woman that I always read, Divine Harmony, where she's always like, we need new myths, and I feel like
new lore.
Yeah, we need like new lore. And it was just kind of ironic because her new moon article, which we're not going to share, we have other things today, but like the one thing that she did mention asteroid wise with this last new moon was that I think it was conjunct Icarius.
Okay.
And so most people know from school like the myth with Icarius, which is he flew too close to the sun and he melted the wings and he fell into the water and didn't make it, which is kind of like very Pisces, like what you were just saying. That kind of like fire water mix, and also like this element of not listening, you know, wanting to think you're right and not, you know, listen to the advice of others, and then you kind of find out the hard way. And I just kind of, I thought it was interesting because obviously with like the plane crashes happening, it's very Icarius in the way of like, not they were flying too close to the sun, but it's that flying element with the landing. And then honestly, I mean, the one in American Airlines, it landed in the water.
Yes. And it's, and it's a good point of like not listening to the divine.
Right.
Which is like, you know, it started back when that submarine went missing and the orcas were attacking the boats. Like, they were clearly, like, kind of sending a message to everybody that, like, and what we've been saying, like, Mother Earth is going through her ascension. She is ascending with or without us. So things are going to be happening. And so it's like the message was kind of like, stay out of the waters. And then when the plane stuff started happening and the whole drones, or Dior bags as they say.
Yeah, Dior bags.
Was kind of like, whether, no matter what it was, right? Because I think there was a mix of like these military drones, but we also know that there was scout ships and like galactic ships in the sky, and that's what was going on, was this kind of like battle, which they were saying, stay the fuck out of the sky. Like, shit is going on. And it's really funny that you said that about not listening, because randomly for the past couple of weeks, I'll get pinged on a gene key. And I don't know if it's like, you know how Richard Rudd says, of course we have our profiles, but that we all carry all 64. One. So I would just get randomly pinged on these gene keys, and I was wondering, like, maybe that's just one that's activating right now. Like, even though I don't have it in my profile, but there's a reason I'm like being drawn to this one. So I was having this pain in my left ear. And I was like, went down this rabbit hole of like the spiritual meaning and blah, blah, blah. And then the angels were like, kept bringing me to Gene Key 43, which is the deafness one. Deafness. And it actually is, it's linked to the inner ear.
Oh, interesting.
So I read that this morning, and funny enough, I didn't know this, but it's the programming partner of 23, which is where Uranus just went direct in.
Oh, yeah. No, isn't it in 8?
Not yet, because it went retrograde.
Oh, it went back into 23.
Yes.
Oh.
And it just went direct yesterday. And that's 23. The channel of that one. And I was like, oh, interesting. And it just, obviously, if you guys have the book, you can read Gene Key 43. But the shadow's deafness. And he just says it's like deafness of like not listening to your inner guidance and not listening to like the divine and like, and being too tuned into like the white noise of the ego. And then, you know, the point is to basically tune all that out and only listen to the divine guidance, like no matter what. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's so funny, because I've been getting like ringing in this ear a lot. Ooh. And then like one night I was just like chilling, and all of a sudden like it sounded like a microphone, like this, like, you know, when like you hit it and it kind of like does that squeaky thing. I like heard that in my ear, and I was like,
interesting.
Are they like testing something? And it's happened a lot too, where like I hear things before, and then like whether I do something with whatever I hear, or most of the time I'm just like, yeah, whatever, like, and just keep going about my day. Like it always comes back, and I feel like we're just getting to this point where it's like, you know, that's where it has to be. Like whether you follow it or not, you're gonna find out no matter what that it was true, or the ping was supposed to be there. And I've seen that a lot on TikTok with like what happened with this plane crash, and that the amount of astrologers, people that just get like prophetic dreams, or like, you know, they could be Jesus freaks, it doesn't really fucking matter, you know, whatever, and just other, you know, spiritual people, psychics, whatever, like a lot of people were getting guidance about like aviation issues literally last week. And they posted this in advance. Like one girl,
because Mercury's in Aquarius.
Right. So like,
and so is Pluto.
So a lot of people were getting these pings, and even this girl, like she was a tarot reader, and I'm sure you saw her, she posted it like 12 hours before the plane went down. She's like, I'm having this vision, there will be this plane and a smaller plane. And I feel like, you know, it's just, you know, it's getting to be that thin of like the veil at this point. And you can see people that are following that guidance, and there are people like that are meant to speak and go on social media and put out their predictions. And I've saw literally at least 5 people, different forms of work of what they do spiritually, get that correct. And it's pretty, like, that's how, like, we're honing in on these skills. We can see these things, and it doesn't mean, like, pinpointing this exact experience, like, oh, American Airlines number, this is going down, like, but it's giving people kind of, like, a warning of what's to come. And I agree, like, the oceans have been one where there's been, like, warnings of, like, there's a cleansing going on, and I think they just released stuff that there's, a, like, confirmed information that there's alien bases on the floor of the ocean or whatever, which we knew, and like that confirms like what Cobra was saying about the Andromedians would set up. underwater and stuff. And then obviously like the air stuff with the Aquarius, you know, just people are getting those pings. So if you get it, it could be for you, it could be for the collective. And there's people that are stepping up right now, like into these roles of being like seers, because, you know, we need guidance in a very unknown time for humanity, you know?
Yeah. And I just